Hello there! I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to Sequel-A-Thon 5. It's a Roman numeral. That's the official name now. Look at the playlist. Although if you've seen the playlist before this, you'd be like, well, it was always. No, it wasn't. I just changed it. After my last review, after the Squeakle review. We're talking about Alvin and the Chipmunks Chipwrecked. Yay! So, when this was coming out, I remember seeing the trailers and I thought it was coming direct to DVD. That's why I'm like, oh, they hit rock bottom, they're coming direct. This went to theaters. I didn't realize this went to theaters. I did not know. But it did. I didn't see it. Are you kidding me? The one I saw before this wasn't very good. I think this one's better, but I don't know. This one just always reeked to me of contract obligations. Is what it is, especially on David Cross's part. In fact, there was a controversy with David Cross with this movie because, well, apparently David Cross called this one of the most unpleasant experiences of his career. And when he talked about it, he said that he was forced at legal gunpoint due to contractual obligations to film for days inside a pelican suit on a cruise line. Mind you, he had no lines at this point. He was just filming in the suit for the scenes that he was stalking Dave. Forced to film for days. You could have put any stuntman inside there and had him fill the scenes, but they legally forced him to film the scenes. And when he publicly went and said this, apparently it violated some sort of agreement and they fined him $150,000 for it. I don't know what's worse, that they fined him $150,000 for the comments, or that they had him sign a legal agreement saying they had a legal agreement in his contract saying he couldn't tell anyone how badly he was treated. And no surprise, he's not in the next one. Although it feels like the role that went to the actor was supposed to be David Cross's character, Ian, and they just gave it to someone else. I always thought that he was supposed to be Ian, but they changed it because it's literally the same kind of role. And even watching this, it's forced. It's forced. It's so forced that Ian is in this. So is Jenny Slate, by the way. The plot of this is that the Chipmunks and the Chipwrecks get flung off of a cruise ship when they were misbehaving, mostly Alvin, but end up on a desert island, right? So we could just follow them on a desert island, but they throw in Jenny Slate as this person who has been stuck on this island for the longest time, 9 years apparently, supposedly, although she looks in pristine condition for 9 years. Although the 9 years could have been a lie now that I think about it, but I don't know. And there's really no need for her character at all. Oh, it leads us to a subplot that they throw in there that is also not needed. You could have wrote her out and it would have been fine. Right? And I will point this out and I will give you my version of how events could happen. Okay? Without Jenny Slate involved. Anyway, we start out right away. Vacation, all I ever wanted. Vacation, got to get away. They are going to deliver to you a Chipmunk and Chipette soundtrack, even when it doesn't make any sense because there's no real performances in this one, other than at the end. It's basically a musical, I guess, even though not really. when we're on a cruise ship. Not Lollipop either. But yes. Alvin, of course, causes some problems, which angers the captain. Captain Corelli. Yeah. Is that supposed to be some kind of a joke? Because it's not very funny. He doesn't even have a mandolin. Yeah, I don't know what that. It's almost as stupid as one. There's a character in one of the movies, Dr. Catheter. Haha, it's the thing you stick in your pee hole. Haha, catheter. Captain Corelli. I don't know. He gets mad and they say that they have to be on best behavior. So Dave goes to so here's my problem with this whole situation. Alvin wants more responsibility, but Dave says he can't give him responsibility until he behaves. So Simon talks to Dave to try to, give him more responsibility. And as soon as Dave gives him more responsibility, Alvin immediately disregards that and decides he's going to take off and go to the casino. Which, by the way, is filled with people who look like they're teenagers, which is weird. I don't understand it. And they're allowing Simon to gamble. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And Simon initially only went there to stop Alvin. And the girls are there having a dance off with the girls that dance like this. Yeah. Meanwhile, when Dave comes back, Theodore, who was watching some weird cartoon movie, is now watching a horrible looking monster movie, like a very cheaply looking, like it's like a Muppet monster movie. It looked like the creature looks like a Muppet. Also, we find out that Ian is on this cruise, or is forced onto this cruise, legally, yes, he was literally legally by the makers of this movie onto this cruise, apparently. But anyway. Apparently, his life has gotten so bad that he has now become a pelican mascot for this cruise line. And he's watching Dave after he spilled his soup on Dave's lap. Yeah. So the next day, after he reprimands the other chipmunks, he says, Captain Corelli has allowed them one last game shuffleboard. And then Simon says, well, it looks like it's less shuffle and more bored. And I'm like, okay, so I get he means that it's boring, but from the perspective of a chipmunk, it would be more bored because he's tiny. Dave decides he's just going to take a fucking nap. Look, what happens here is Dave's fault. Plain and simple. You can throw it on Alvin if you want for misbehaving and not listening again, but Dave just decides he's going to ignore the chipmunks and take a nap. Everything that comes after that, instead of paying attention and watching Alvin like he should, I'm just going to take a nap. And, yeah. And so Alvin gets himself, the other chipmunks, and the chipettes flung off of the ship into the ocean. Yes. When Dave tries to use a hang glider to save him, Ian tries to stop him, and they both get flung up in the air on the hang glider and land in the ocean, but not in the same area as the chipmunks or the chipettes. Somehow. I don't know how that works. And the cruise line flies off. And, yeah, eventually the chipmunks and the chipettes reach the island. Yeah. Meanwhile, we cut back to Dave and Ian, who are clearly in close-ups, not in an ocean, but rather what looks to be a kiddie pool of sorts. Some sort of studio backlot pool. Because the water, first of all, the water in the ocean, never calm. Never calm. It's always, even if it looks calm, there's always a current. They're in a pool of something. So, yeah. Both sets of people make it to the island, but apparently on separate sides. Kind of like Jumping Ship, where Tommy and Michael end up on one side and Jake on the other. You know, I love that movie, by the way. But yeah, just I can watch that now. I have Disney Plus. Anyway, but so they're stuck there and they're trying to survive and they're fighting over a mango when they literally run into Jenny Slate's character here. I don't remember her name, but I do like when she's introduced. They think there's some kind of jungle monster, so they fling the mango and it hits her in the head and she goes, "Oh, why?" But again, she's not needed. Because, like, she's not needed. She's here just for the subplot and nothing else. She's not even in the next one. She's never mentioned again. There's no need for her in this movie. It makes no sense to me. So Simon, the scaredy cat of the group, gets bit by a spider, and its effects turn him into a French Rambo-like person called Simon. Yes, who is very outgoing, forthcoming, and adventurous, and declares his love for Jeanette, who, need I remind you, is treated like his sister because of they all live together under the same roof. So, yeah, I forgot about that part. Yes, and here is where we have my issue with Jenny Slate. So, Simone dives under the water and finds a little trinket in a cave and gives it to Jeanette. Jenny Slate is now obviously very visibly interested in where he got it from. And then runs off to tell all of her ball friends, because Castaway was a thing, that they found it and they found a treasure and she's evil now, apparently. Why is this subplot in there? I don't know. So, Dave and Ian are on one side of the island trying to find a chipmunk and the chipettes. I do like how Dave is calling out their names. Alvin, Simon, Theodore, and he's going, fat one, girl, fat one. I do like they have an argument. He goes, you can't just throw me in a cage like your children, Dave. He goes, that was you. Yeah, Dave's in this more than the last one. And they realized, there's a volcano that's going to erupt because the hot spring they've been using to warm up, well, it's now volcanic and burns them. So they need to get out of there. And Jenny Slate's really trying to get them to go back to that cave to get because she can't reach in to get it because it's too small. So in the middle of this is where everything gets. So Alvin decides to have some responsibility to get the others to work together. Dave shows up. Everyone gets happy again, and they're confused why Ian is there because they didn't even know he was underneath the pelican suit. They never told them, so he's very confused. They're very confused at where the hell he came from. So is David Cross because he was probably drinking at this point. But anyway. I also want to point out he makes a giant nest to sleep in because he's a bird. Yeah. Also, to help get the treasure, she knocks Simone out with the golf club and kidnaps Jeanette. Yeah. And when Simone comes to, he's back to being Simon again. Which makes no fucking sense. Because he didn't get hit on the head and become this. He got bit by a spider. Getting knocked on the head would not cure you of a spider bite. he would need to get some kind of antidote or anti-venom or antitoxin for it. And now here's where I go off on this. So her whole plan here is to kidnap Jeanette to get this never go down. Okay. So, how you can do this without Jenny Slate, and you get rid of her. Simon still gets bitten, becomes Simone, goes underwater, finds the thing. Alvin, ever the guy who wants to, make money, sees the opportunity to have the treasure, and he goes down to find it. That's when he finds the rest of the treasure. Before he can tell anyone, that's when Dave comes back. Well, he doesn't want to tell anyone. He secretly had been hoarding it. Right? He wants to find a way to get it off the island. So, when that starts erupting, he starts to go to try to collect it. And Alvin is gone, but and in this version, my version, Simon doesn't just get his consciousness back by getting hit with a golf ball, because it can't happen here. So it is Simone who comes to them and goes after him, but and Alvin said he wants to take it over. We have to go. He's going to explode. And then the spider, because it's spider venom, it starts to affect him to where he's hurt. And Alvin realizes that it's either his brother or the treasure, and has to take up the responsibility to save his brother and get out of there. Right? Because what happened to Alvin? And when they find a trinket hidden in the little house, that he's been trying to store it, so he went back to get the rest. I think I know where he went. And that's where they have the confrontation. Yeah. So, yeah, it makes sense. You don't need Jenny Slate, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, this doesn't make sense anyway. So, Dave and Ian and the others have built a raft in record time while the thing is going off. And they take off along with Zoe. That's her name. Jenny Slate, Zoe. Jeanette just forgives her. And then they all perform at the Video Music Awards or whatever. Or the European Music Awards, something like that. I don't think they were ever nominated. I think they just had to perform. And then Ian is like, oh, I'll find my way. Something. I don't know. And then the movie ends with them on the plane and Alvin causing the stewardess's tray to crash into Dave, and we get a Alvin! And the movie. Yes. That's it. That's it. Yeah. I'll give it a middle of the road, but higher than the second one. It's better. It's better, but David Cross is literally forced into this. Jenny Slate is forced in. We didn't need that character. I just showed you how they could have done it. And it also feeds the story of Alvin trying to be more responsible. Or needing to be more responsible, I should say. Right? I'm just saying. Oh, Alvin also uses the Swiss Army knife to use the sun, the light, But yeah, it's fine. So, what are your thoughts on Alvin and the Chipmunks Chipwrecked? Comment below, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.